Well, good afternoon, and what a delight to have you join us on Market View with me, Sfiso Nxumalo. As always, I will ask that you stay with me over the next half an hour as we track developments around the nation's economy and how it feeds into the overall sustainable economic growth of the country. Our business journal, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, did take to the ground again today with keen interest to acquire two issues from our Commerce, Industry and Trade Minister, Manqoba Khumalo. The first interest is the investment policy review, which is underway, and of course, it is being conducted by the Ministry of Commerce. Now, the second issue looks into the developments around loan guarantee schemes. We'll hear from the Minister, then expand on these issues with Nelsiwe. We will wrap things up with our analysis of the financial markets of the day, that with our economist, Sanele Sibiya. But for now, let's start the show with today's business news. And for our first story, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority says Eswatini has exported 31.5 billion in the year 2022, which is under review, and 90% were to the African continent. The manager of external trade promotion, Sibusiso Mnisi, said this during the USAID Africa and Investment Southern Africa buy-in activity, which was at Happy Valley Hotel at Eswatini, where he further stated that more vigorous actions will be taken to increase Eswatini's exports.
Over the past 5 years, and as we were saying, we are now at 31.5 billion exports, looking to grow even more, in the next 5 years or so. So I will say we are doing very well. The only challenge that we are seeing, because we could be doing even better, the only challenge that we have is our traders are still not able to, the production capacity is still not at the level, that is required. Because, for instance, you will find that buyers are saying, I want you to supply me with so much. And the exporter will say, it's either they've already committed themselves, for the whole year, or they just can't produce. So, the strategy that we are looking at is we are saying then we need to look at it from a backward point of view, to go back and say, guys, let's see how we can increase our exports. We also want to see the indigenous, SME from Eswatini also taking part in export business.
The Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, SPPRA, says it is working to review the Public Procurement Act of 2011 to allow for more stricter regulation measures in the procurement space. Now, the capacity manager, capacity building, Tulile Sifunza, says this after an outcry from some small and medium enterprise owners that they are being pushed out of business because of high costs, as well as standard bidding documents, amongst other things. Sifunza said this during the market price reference catalog workshop, which was held at Sibanesami Hotel, Eswatini.
The good thing about such forums is that it provides opportunity for such information actually to come up. Now, what does it say to us as an agency? It says that we still have a lot of work to do. We need to actually go back and see how we can actually incorporate, how we can see how these concerns from the suppliers are addressed. Do you remember that I did mention that one of the key issues when it comes to the issue that we're talking about, the pricing of tender document, is that at the present, even the legislation doesn't actually provide, I would say, a section that would say or provide guidance to say the cost of tender documents shouldn't be above this price or shouldn't be below this price. Now we are saying from this, as we move towards actually improving the procurement system as well, which will also include issues of reviewing the legislation as well. It says now let's also look at those aspects, that they can be incorporated into the legislation, so that should an entity not follow those guidelines that are provided, the agency can then come in to declare that entity non-compliant, of which at this point what we currently do now is to engage the entities to say even or when the entity decides now to charge for their tender document, at least it should be justified. It shouldn't just be a manner of just charging as part of, I would say, revenue generation, but it should be justified. But we are not at the stage where we can now say we are declaring the entity non-compliant, because there are no standard guidelines that have been provided that they shouldn't exceed this much.
On the issue of the price reference catalogue, members of the business community say although they appreciate the effort by the authority, however, they should have been consulted before the catalogue was released. They also feel they will make a loss if government continues to use the catalogue.
cishe letinto lekakhuluma ngato kade satithendarishela tinto tikhuphuka ngabo petrol njengoba kukhuphuka petrol la sithenga khona tiyakhuphuka kanjalo so kusho ukuthi lokhu ibhizinisi kuyibuyelisa emuva ngoba kukhanya ukuthi into wena soyithenga nga-10 rand uhulumende usafuna kuyithenga nga-9 rand. Kumgcoka lokho ukuthi sithi nakayicala lo hlelo sihambe kanye sitokhona nayo kuma-advisor letinto leti tikhuphuka in 3 months.
Some of these companies are very well established. Laba benchmark ngawo laba bakaSpra. Ukhanza lokho ukuthi sebayilokhile le local market. Ukuthi now you can't buy semncane ngabekisa nge-stationery. You can't buy stationery from factory la sakhiwa khona because bathi basebane agent la. Le agent le phinze yena SPPRA lathi faka 5% on that, which means when esomabhizinisi lomncane either you are getting out of business or in the next coming 2-3 months or so, you're not going to be in the business.
The price catalogue serves as a pricing guide for government procurement, addressing issues of corruption, overpricing, and monopolies, amongst other issues. For Market View, Nelson Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Eswatini.
Let's discuss the investment policy review as well as the credit guarantee schemes with the lady that was just reporting that story that we just watched, Nelson Dlangamandla, Business Journal, after the break.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash, or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. Government is currently making an investment policy review to attract foreign direct investment and foster economic growth. Now, the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, has said this when responding to an outcry from the business community that some localization laws are making it difficult for investors to bring their businesses to the country.
Right now, we have an investment climate that is not too coherent for foreign direct investors in particular. There's a lot of discretionary power that resides in many institutions where an investor can come on the promise of being given everything that they hope to get, only for them to go through a process and then hit a snag when they go to one regulatory agency, including work permits. That becomes a problem for the investor, because if you're going to bring in, pick a number, 50 million emalangeni into the economy, you can't then tell this person 2 years later that, oh, we won't renew your work permit, because it's their money. We need to figure out a way as a government to create a harmonious investment policy that will ensure that all the state agencies are speaking the same language in terms of investment promotion and promises that we make to the investors. So how are we fixing that? We have recently launched an investment policy review that is being led by IPA. So recently, the CEO at IPA presented to Cabinet this particular process, and they are starting to engage all the stakeholders. They have hired a consultant who is helping them to get this investment policy reviewed. The intention of this investment policy is that there would be one entity under IPA that will be able to give investors all the answers that they need, and the people in that entity will be seconded to this entity from various ministries, so that if they need a work permit, Home Affairs have seconded somebody who is an expert in analyzing and advising on work permits to ensure that the investors get the resolution that they need in the least amount of time. So we believe this will be addressed basically through the revision of our investment policy.
The review of our investment policy is something that the country certainly needs. Nearly, I would suppose, for a lot of our developments, job creation, and all the likes. He's speaking like it's something that should be happening really, really soon. We're already engaged with IPA. CEO has presented to Cabinet. One wants to ask, Nelson, as you were talking to him, and I know there were follow-up questions, what are some of the other things that he told you that should get us excited, particularly, on the investment part of things?
Lokho umcoka kakhulu lesikhulumile nayo indvuna igcizelela kakhulu ekutheni isifiso vele le mithetho yethu ngiyo lena lengasiko in sync. Ukhanza ukuthi ka Home Affairs ngidawuthi ngiyafika kuthiwe yes uto investor but kufanele uhlale iminyaka lengaka kuze ukuthi uthole i permanent residency. Uthi uyaya kubo khona nje somabhizinisi lothite uyitholile i certificate of incorporation, but sekumele ukuthi athole i trading license. Akasakhona ukuyithola because bafuna i work permit. Uyadibuta ke ukuthi i work permit kanzi ngiyithola nini ngoba phela mina ngisathi ngisafuna kuta lapho sengidayithatha ngoba ngisazama kusungula le business. So kakhulu ngilenza baye ukuthi vele kufanele kube nale one stop shop somabhizinisi athi kahle kwekwe ukuthi mina nangithi Eswatini ngito investor ngila ngidawusitakala la futhi ngidawusitakala masinyane. I will not be moved from pillar to post so long ngizama ukuthi ngithole le info tekusebenta. Indvuna igcizelela kakhulu kuloko kwekuthi sebatawuzama indlela yekuthi labo somabhizinisi basitakale vele masinyane.
Yeah, I'm just reminded, was it last year or 2 years ago when EMI Gate Holdings, it was certainly last year, the same minister, Mangoba Kumalo, went on an investment drive, and I think they went to some of the countries in Saudi Arabia, and they did basomela lama investors, and they did promise that when they come to Eswatini, around 2,500 jobs, quality jobs that is, will be open for Emaswat. So it's exciting to learn there is a policy now that is under review to make sure that more of these investments come to Eswatini. I wonder though, from the perspective Maswat, the question is always, what about the quality of jobs? What kind of jobs are being brought into the country? Is that a conversation that you had with the minister?
Yeah. Sikhulumile ngale conversation leyo Sifiso na minister wachaza kahle ukuthi kuwo onke ema-investments labathi awete eveni bayaqinisekisa ukuthi sive semaswati kufanele ukuthi sithole imisebenzi lephilako kungabi njengokuthi utile umuntu utawufika aholele eliswati 500 emalangeni la eveni. We've seen last year ukuthi kubo manufacturing kubo mining kungenile angenile foreign direct investment lapho khona sibonile ku-investwa 600 million emalangeni nangikhumbula kahle from the annual report. So minister really emphasized ukuthi angeke nje sithi siyaphuma siyofuna i-investment bese sibuya nebamfu labatawugcilata emaswati i-conversation lesibe nayo leyo Sifiso.
And while the focus is in, attracting foreign direct investment into the country, there should be developments around our own, investments in the country. And you did talk to him about the credit guarantee schemes, our loan guarantee schemes. They were relaunched in 2021. Let's listen to the minister addressing Nelsiwe on the loan guarantee schemes.
Loan guarantee schemes, bosomabhizinisi bayakhona kufinyelela kuwo. Kepha-ke lama requirements vele abesolwa asedulu kucishe kube ngama-requirements lafana nokuthi uyo-aplayela i-loan ebhange ukhanze ukuthi-ke bawabeka le dulu. So uhulumende-ke sekukhona taba tithi latendile ukuze ukuthi emaswati akhone lokuthi afinyelele kuwo. Kokucala ukuthi akusesiyo nje kuphela emabhange la khona kuyisebenzisa le loan guarantee scheme, but nama-entities lamanye lesingathi ngesilungu nama-non-bank finance institutions sakayakhona ukuthi uye kuwo bakusite ngale loan guarantee scheme. So lokho sekuyasita ngoba sekwehlisa kancane lama-requirements. Sekufake-ke netikimu letiningi la ikhathi as well kufaka agricultural fund, bo-RDF, nabo-youth empowerment fund, ukuthi songakhona ku-accessa le loan guarantee scheme. Ngoba itolo bokhona nje ukuthi ubuye ebhange kuphela bese uthi sengifuna ngiside ukhanze ukuthi ibhange lisebenzisa that criteria. Sitawona taba lokuthi sikufundzise lokho siveni sidabe sesiyabuka lokuthi lokho lesikwentile kuyasita yini ukuthi abantu bakhona ukuthola le mali ngoba yiningi le mali emaswati efuna ngabayayithola kepha lokuthi lama requirements beka strict bekwenta ukuthi babe bancane la bagcina baphumelele. Sifuna ukunjinja ke lokho sikwente ukuthi kusebenze ngendlela leningi.
The focus is in making sure that there is easy access to these guarantee schemes that currently exist. He's articulating in Zabaweguti there hasn't been much, ease of access into the guarantee schemes, and yet there's been so much money that has been disbursed to make sure that, these small businesses get that money. How are they addressing that now, moving forward?
Uthi minister sebataw is the restrictions ngathini requirements not
Right.
really restrictions.
Right.
So kuqala bawukhanza ukuthi lama schemes lawa endelwe kwekuthi emaswati angabi ne collateral leningi nangabe ayoyiboleka. So nangabe sekutawuthiwa mhlawumbe nawuthi uyoyiboleka ngifuna i-business plan and le business plan lengiyifunako ngifuna ukuthi ibhalwe nginawo. So emaswati lamaningi bokhanza ukuthi awasakhona ukufinyelela kulama schemes ngaleti info leti njengaleto. So minister uthi uma ngabe sesiza le access senda ukuthi bantu basheshe bayithole lama schemes kutawenda ukuthi babe baningi. Ngidawubekisa njengana small scale enterprise guarantee scheme.
Right.
Bosoma business lapho kuthiwa bangathola imali lefinyelela ku 1 million, but nangabe lama requirements sekamadima as the business community has been complaining ukuthi government has these schemes lapho khona fise kusystem aswati kepha na ukhanza ukuthi akakhona ukufinyelela kunanang 1 million longaboleka ufike kuye kule scheme less, but nangabe kunalama hurdles la khona ukhanza ukuthi amaswati awasafinyeleli kuko la kusho ke minister ukuthi sesitawubuka lokuthi engabe senda njani lokuthi bafinyelele kangcono siphume futhi siye esiveni sinasibuka lama schemes lawa 1990 bewasavela akhona, but the take up hasn't been impressive. Lokusho kona ukuthi government still has to do more, as the minister has rightly said ukuthi we still have to go out there so afundzise emaswati ngalama schemes lawa lasekakhona.
Yeah, and it's essential, Nelson. I'm just thinking, as speaking about a lot of economies around the world, most of the most sustainable economies, their lifeblood is business. And, particularly the small businesses that are emerging and those that have to graduate into being bigger businesses. But the biggest thing is always the financial landscape. Is it easy to access funds? But, I'm happy that, just yesterday we were talking about
Yes.
our export trade, and that the trade finance models have to be, looked at and reevaluated. Was not business, but it followed the mal. I mean, we just listened to Mnisi speaking to the fact that we can't really meet the capacity of what is required as it is here trader. So I suppose all these developments, what IPA is doing with trade finance and what the minister is doing with guarantee schemes,
with the UN and the central bank isibonile itolo nabo bebahlangene babuka kona ukuthi engabe sifinyelela kanjani kulabo somabhizinisi. What I liked about the conversation lapha ku UN na central bank nabo bonke labathintekako emabhange bekukhulunywa lokuthi nangiya somabhizinisi lomncane lolo lapha phasi lona lo sengaregister sifinyelela kanjani kuye kude naye simfundzise ngalokwenta ibhizinisi nekuthi le mali sikhone ukuthi simnikete le mali akhone kuyiletha. I really like that kuthi bathi asingathi nje bosondonzima sibuye kuma medium enterprises, but let's go there le phasi kule sive semaswati, because sive silemakhaya siyetama. We know ukuthi amabhizinisi lamanengi alemakhaya lamaningi abo futhi ownwa bomake. So the conversation kulamalanga vele ikakhulu la kutheni sibesekela kanjani bosomabhizinisi labancane bakhule nabo baze bafike kuleli zinga lekuthi bakhone ku-exporter to other countries.
Yeah, and as a double entendre would have it, Nelson, I love that. It's so metaphoric and poetic. Now it's bosomabhizinisi labancane because you're speaking to somabhizinisi losengabi mkhulu kakhulu, but also we're a young population. Bosomabhizinisi bethu labanengi.
It's the youth.
It's the youth. Anyway, bosomabhizinisi labancane, so we will see them graduate into, being budding entrepreneurs, and them eventually graduating their businesses into big competitive businesses with all these investments that are being done by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade and all its stakeholders, particularly Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority. As we connect virtually with Sanele Sibia. He's our economist. We look at the financial markets of the day.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
Sibile sive sikhulume.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
It's 23 minutes after 2. We welcome virtually our economist, Mr. Sanele Sibia. Thank you so much, Mr. Sibia, for joining us today, our second episode of the week. I'm taking interest in the Dow Jones, which is being said to be trading higher today. Perhaps if usasivuselanje ungasichazela kabanzi about some of these U.S. markets.
Thank you, Nxumalo, for having me. Sivuselena kuyombukele ekhaya. So if we look at the US markets, siyadibona ukuthi the trader higher than they were trading yesterday, than they were trading on Friday. So lokho siyakubona ukuthi kubangwa kunayindzaba yokuthi even though the market dinako lokuthi lama lows ato agcine sekagcinela tivala setiphansana, but the volumes traded, they were higher than what we saw on Friday. So lokho ke kubangwa kunako ukuthi sigadze the Federal Reserve Bank ukuthi keep my interest rate figures khona kusasa nje. So imarket ikubhekile ukuthi kona itigadze ukuthi kwanyalo titawukuma ngeke inyuke le interest rate, so nako lokuphusha kakhulu le sikubonako emarket. So the markets have been hesitant going into tomorrow.
Ingabe indzaba yema equities, we hear that there is bit of fear, regarding some of the lingering inflation, but it's just lingering. It has not yet been really confirmed. How does that affect their equities in the United States?
So loko lama equities responda to that ngalokuthi nangabe le inflation solo is still above the 2%, even though it's showing signs of decline. Kusho ukuthi interest le Federal Reserve Bank itawuphutha kwehlisa le interest rate. So lokho nyalo the markets need to price that in to say, okay, nyalo interest rate itawukwehla in the next, say, ngekehle this month, and probably ngekehle nanga April. So we expect to start coming down in Mayish or Juneish. So once the markets price that in, that's sekuyabonakala ngalokuthi they would now need to shift to other commodities to just hedge for that time period. So the market they are short seller in the US.
I wonder how all of that then affects our forex in Eswatini, particularly if we compare Lilangeni compared to the major currencies, Kalekona, United States dollar.
So if we look against all major currencies, Langen led fully lishowile ema signs of kulimala. Mawubuka against the dollar, it's edging closer to the 19 region, and now buka nakhona against the euro, it's edging closer to the 21 region, and against the Japanese yen, we have lost a bit of ground in lapho edging closer to the 8 region. So lokho sekubanga sekubuka ukuthi na ubuka lokho ukuthi the US igathe idata ukuthi iphume kusasa in terms of interest rates, na ubuka eJapan you can see ukuthi Japanese interest rate, Japanese central bank for the first time in 17 years they have actually raised interest rates baphumile from a negative region. So the market does Japan jabulele, hence kwase sekuba nale trade flocking into that country, making our trade with our exchange rate kuthi sale iba a bit lower with the Japanese yen. So it is all those things happening against ukuthi sigadzile bona leli viki, if not tomorrow, for Statistics South Africa, which are releasing inflation data. So masibuka inflation data yakhona South Africa. Now buka from January to February, sijumpile from 5.1% to 5.3%. So now market lapha South Africa diyakufaka lokho into consideration, and nakhona kupusha le hopes interest rate decline ngaloko ukuthi solo siyadibona dinkinga double load shedding, siyabona abo Transnet and affect negatively in terms of the coal sector. So now that we are seeing inflation hitting up a bit, when that market they are short seller, because that is also evident in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It has lost about 500 points, which is somewhat of some 200% in today's trading session.
Gold price struggles, hitting the low today. I wonder what is affecting that. If we look at our commodities today, I think they do highlight where there is some struggles to learn, but saying Barol Gold and holds a steady above 1 week low ahead of emitting Lebekona last week. It's quite interesting.
Oh yes. So when you look at the number of del golide diyatshengisa ukuthi the market iyazama lokusuka from hedging, it's preparing for a more flexible market going forward. So that is what we are seeing there. And mawubuka nalama interest rate decisions because it's going to be a very interesting calendar. So if the markets hold, and which is what we expect every central bank to do, to at least hold the interest rate, then that means we are continuing on a cycle. The market is preparing for an interest rate cut. So Emma assets in terms of your shares and other liquid assets more money. So we are seeing the market shifting and preparing for a shift towards Emma equities compared to hedging commodities.
I wonder if that's the case with Brent crude oil. Just briefly, Mr. We have run out of time.
Oh yeah, Brent crude, we are seeing Brent crude really shooting up, closing on an all-time high since October of 2023. So logos that attributed to the fact that we have seen the biggest producers like your Saudi Arabia and Iraq, they have actually cut their output for the past for February. They produced less output. So that is happening against the background of macro prospects in the US and also growth prospects in China. So that means we are forecasting a lot of demand. So it is a hard buy.
Sasbia, thank you so much for your time this morning and providing your insights on the financial markets of today. Really appreciate that. Sibonge nabo bonke labasibukele nalamhla nalabo ke labasetasibukela kubo YouTube natonke tinhlangothi siyabonga kusilandzela. I've come to the end of our program for the day. Have a good day.